Alright, so this is Monster Hunter World, and today's guide is going to be all about the hunt, getting ready for it, and what you actually do during the hunt, like fighting the monster and the best ways to fight monsters. So today we're going to go after a high rank Diablos. Um, Diablos on both low rank and high rank can be pretty pain in the ass to fight, so I picked him just because a lot of players will probably have difficulty fighting him initially, but the biggest thing about him is, of all the monsters, once you learn his pattern, he becomes very easy to fight. So I chose him because this really is going to stress the importance of learning a monster's pattern. Alright, so first things that you want to do, even before you go out on your hunt, you want to make sure you have your items ready. So you're going to make lots of visits to this treasure trunk, and there's an assortment of them throughout the town. You don't necessarily have to go to this one, but any trunk that looks like this will get you into this menu. These two here, the manage items and the crafting list, both of these are going to be things you use a lot. So first of all, manage items. These are the items I carry with me most of the time. Things will vary between most players, but you should definitely make sure you carry mega potions. Herbal medicines are another strong recommendation. It's very good at curing poison, and it heals you a little bit, so that's very good. I'd also recommend carrying some well done steaks and some raw meat. You can carry up to 10 of each. I only carry 5, that way if I create or gather more, the surplus gets stored in my box so that I can have some to pull from later. Traps, pitfalls, and shocks, you can only carry 1 at a time. I recommend carrying those so that you're prepared to capture monsters if you want. And then trank bombs, learn to make those and make quite a few. I have a huge amount that I will hopefully never run out of, but again, I just keep making them. You need those also to capture monsters. Flash pods, I would strongly recommend them to help you just load them in, and you can use them to flash blind monsters. A lot of monsters are very vulnerable to this. Even flying monsters can be knocked out of the air with these, so they can create very good openings for you. And then some kind of bomb. I'm just taking the mega barrel bombs. They do the most damage, but they can be a little bit more tricky to make just because they require more materials and more stuff. But I recommend carrying a few bombs. That way, if you want to set up large-scale damage traps around certain monsters, you can use these to do that. So, as you can see, I already have all my items, but let's say, for whatever reason, I was out in the field and I had gathered a bunch of blue mushrooms and, you know, some other random stuff from the field that I don't necessarily need anymore, and I don't want it taking up space in my other stuff. And let's also say that I had used up all my flash bombs. Now I could individually go through and put away these 3 items and then grab the flash bombs again, but that takes time, and well, a lot of times when you're in and out of the field, you won't necessarily realize or notice the things you did use or didn't use. So setting up loadouts is the best thing to do. As you can see here, my standard loadout is set up with all the things that I normally run out with, and once you have it registered, you just click it, use the loadout, and as you can see, you put away those 3 meats those 3 things here that I had grabbed because they aren't part of the loadout, and it reloaded me on the flash pods because that is part of the loadout. So I would definitely recommend, once you've figured out what items you like to carry with you, register it as a loadout. It helps item management a lot. Crafting list, you want to make sure you've got what you need. Mega potions, you got to make sure you make them. You can't buy them from the shop. You can buy potions from the shop, and I'd actually strongly recommend you do that. Buy as many as you can from him, that way you have them ready to be crafted into mega potions later once you get honey. So yeah, just make sure you make regular checks on this to see if there's anything that you can make that's useful to your build. Just like that. Cool. And I don't really need any of that crap, so just make sure you make regular stops here. Next thing to go check is the canteen. It doesn't matter as much in a lot of the lower quest lower rank quests, but definitely once you get into high rank, you really want to make sure you're using the canteen as often as possible. And at the beginning, the menu to it is a little confusing. There's a lot going on here that doesn't always make a lot of sense. We have 3 different ways to pay: money, research points, or a voucher. A voucher is always the best option, but you don't always have a ton of those. So most of the time, I just pay with points, because research points, if you're generally out there doing what you should do, you should almost never run out of research points. And later in the game, money becomes very tight, so I would strongly recommend only paying with research points. Now, there's a lot of different menus here, a lot of different items that you can, a lot of different food trays that you can order from, and a lot of it gets kind of crazy. My strongest recommendation is to just always go with the chef's choice platter, because the rules for food crafting are a little tricky. First off, watch, I'll go to the custom platter thing and show you. So first off, they're divided into 4 types of food: meat, fish, vegetable, plant, whatever, and then beer, I guess, alcohol. I don't know how they want to describe it. And this last tier only gets unlocked in high rank, so through most of low rank you will only have these 3. Now, within each of these, you can see that they're divided into another 5 subgroups. So, the red subgroup improves, certain fighting skills. It makes it so that you're, if you get enough of these, it makes it easier to knock monsters down. Some of these other ones improve, shooting abilities. Other ones improve dodging abilities. Various different abilities at various things, depending on how many you put in. So that's something to keep in mind. Meats, in general, anything in this category, if you get enough of them, it will improve. It'll give you a buff to your attack power. Fish give you a buff to defense power. And plants give you a buff to elemental resistances. Those are all things to consider. Then, the really tricky, important thing is this fresh thing. So anytime you go to eat a meal here, there is a chance you will gain an ability buff, like some of the ones I mentioned about dodging, grabbing, knocking things down, things like that. But to make sure that they activate, you need to make sure you're using fresh ingredients, because that will increase the chance that an ability will actually be activated. Because just because the meal says it should give you that ability, if the activation chance is real low because you didn't use any fresh ingredients, there's not a good chance you're going to get that ability. So that's another thing to consider. So it gets pretty tricky, and I've found that a lot of times if you just go to the chef's choice platter, this is the best option. As you can see, he's used only fresh ingredients. You get a really good boost in both health and stamina. I got a small attack upgrade and a medium defense boost, and I gained a red category ability along with the other 2 default ones that are there, because there's always 3 defaults, but those will get replaced by the colored special ones depending on the ingredients you put in. And as you can see, there's a 3-star activation chance because he used only fresh ingredients, so I should get all 3 of those abilities. So this is just what I found to always be the safest, most reliable choice for when you go to the canteen. And, you could play around with it, you can possibly find a better solution, better options, but this just is what I found is the quickest, most reliable way to get the best out of the canteen. So we're just going to go with this. Yeah, we're going to cut the meat. These guys are always silly. Aha! Look at all that. Om nom nom. Just gonna stuff the face. Fucking pig. Hope you're proud of yourself. Alright. So we ate that. We got our nice little health and stamina boost. Next thing to check, we're gonna go down to the workshop and we're gonna make sure that we have our wish list updated. The wish list is a really unique tool. You can access it from either the forge or the upgrade equipment slot, depending on what you want to do. But what it's good at is it allows you to keep track of What am I doing? Okay, over here. Of the requirements for the things next in the build. Like, so currently I have this greatsword, and I want to make sure that I'm getting the materials I need for the next one. If you have it on your wish list, which you add by just pushing triangle, it's already on there, so it's going to say to delete it, but I'll just add it again. So I just throw it in there, and now when I'm out in the field, if I get materials related to the completion of this thing, I'll get a little pop-up thing that says, hey, you got that material. Congratulations. And once you have all the materials, you'll get another pop-up that says, you can go make this now. Very nice, very convenient, helps make sure you know that you're getting the things you need to make your stuff. So that's really most of the important stuff here. Get back down to the trade yard. Depending on what stage you are at in the game, because it does not unlock right away, but later on you will unlock a farm over here with this guy. This is something you'll also want to check periodically. It's a really useful tool because you can have him grow various plants or other materials for you here in town instead of having to go gather them yourself. This helps tremendously, and at the beginning you're only going to have one slot available, and you're only going to have a few different kinds of fertilizers available, but once you keep working at it, and later on in the game you'll get up to 3 slots available, and if you've improved all the fertilizers, you'll get one fertilizer choice that's called soft soil, and it just allows you to refresh all active fertilizers. It's very useful, very convenient. It makes this entire process super amazing. And you can really let yourself bulk up on a lot of necessary ingredients. Right now I have him cooking honey because you need honey for fucking everything. My best recommendations is once this becomes available to you, consider cooking herbs if you don't have enough base potions, or if you're just good on money, just go buy a bunch of potions from the shopkeep guy. This would just be a way to do it for free and save yourself a little scratch, but potions aren't too expensive. Antidote herbs. This is good for making antidotes, which you can use to later cook into herbal medicine. So these are good recommendations. I also recommend sleep herb. This is an ingredient part of tranquilizer bombs. You'll need those if you want to trap monsters. Blue mushrooms, mandragoras, parashrooms. Later on in the game, I'd say once you have at least 2 buckets, start cooking Devil Blight. If you don't have enough fertilizer, it'll take 3 quests to cook 1 stack of these. Luckily, one of the fertilizers you earn speeds up the amount of time it takes, so everything I have only takes 1 quest to cook 1 stack, so that's great. And Devil's Blight is an essential ingredient to making very large bombs, and it doesn't grow in a lot of places. It's pretty hard to find, so being able to grow it is pretty useful. I'd recommend Excite Shrooms. You can use those to make Farcasters. Basically, they're a smoke bomb that you can throw on the ground, and a Wind Drake will come and pick you up no matter where you are, no matter what's going on. So if for whatever reason, you get attacked by a Rathalos or something that you just weren't expecting, or 2 or 3 large monsters come down at you all at once, you can throw one of those down and just book out. Useful, very, very helpful. Honey, definitely honey. Cook as much honey as you can. Bitter bugs, those are also needed for a lot of high-level potions and other healing and other buff ingredients. I would definitely recommend these. Flash bugs used to make the flash bombs. I would recommend those, but definitely focus on the healing ones first. You can make flash bugs later, and they spawn in enough places in the maps to where cooking a bunch of these shouldn't be a huge necessity. God bugs, those are good for a couple of healing items, but cook them later. Again, this is another 3 quest time requirement one, so don't do this right away. Thunderbugs needed to make traps, definitely cook those. So yeah, those are just my personal recommendations. If your build style is different, then ignore me, but this is just what I found to be very useful. Also, there is a unique armor set in the game. called the butterfly, or I think it's like the king beetle. It depends on your character's gender. You can only build this armor if you have great horn flies, and the only place to get great horn flies is here in the farm. They will randomly spawn as an extra harvested ingredient in your harvest box, depending on what you're growing. I've read online that, you know, certain mushrooms or certain things increase the chance. I've had them spawn on everything I've cooked before, if given enough time, and it has definitely seemed to gone up in the number that they spawn since I've upgraded it. So it might not be something you'll start to get right away, but as you get later in the game, you'll start to get more of them showing up in your harvest box. So if you're not seeing them right away, just be patient. The armor that they can be built into definitely isn't like, it's not the greatest armor in the game, but that armor set does have some unique skills. So if you're looking to make endgame gear, or if you're looking for some different kind of skills to add into your armor sets, look to these. These might have something you're looking for. So that's an explanation about that. Now we're going to go out and we're going to go find us a Diablos. Really? Is this the way it's going to be? Fine. Go. Oh wait, what am I doing? I'm being a spaz. Let's go hunt ourselves a Diablos with a quest. I was going to do it in an expedition, but, you know, whatever. There you are. Okay. Okay. Alright, so now we just gotta wait for this to load, and then I'll be hopping in to go kill me a Diablos. Alright, here we go. Okay. Now, on the off chance you didn't do all the setup stuff that I just showed you in town, luckily this campsite offers a lot of the same stuff. You can go into the tent here, and you can get into the item box and manage your items. And these little chairs here are a canteen. It's the exact same canteen that you can access in town. You can just choose to access it here from the wildlife map instead. Totally your choice. I just do it in town so I don't forget to do it later, because I'm kind of a spaz sometimes. Alright, so now to go kill Diablos. Spawned here in this back corner of the desert because I know that this underground cave is Diablos' one of his favorite hideouts, and sure enough, there he is. Now, things to keep in mind. If you are running into a large monster for the first time, do not just pull out your weapon, run in, and try to bash it in the face. One of the biggest... Alright, yeah, I'll let you finish roaring. One of the biggest things to keep in mind with most large monsters in this game is they all have attack patterns, and they have different ways and unique styles of fighting. So if it's a new monster and you're not sure what to expect, keep your distance and kind of study the pattern. Learn what it's going to do, and start looking for openings that you can exploit. With Diablos, he's already done it twice. His biggest weakness is his bull charge. Run alongside him as he does it. When he comes to a stop, pull... Oh, shit! You tricky bastard. Normally, he will do the tail swipe right after doing his horn charge, and it leaves him very open. But yes, occasionally he will change his tactic up and go with a different attack. What are you doing? Son of a bitch. Not playing fair. I see how it is, Diablos. But yes, it is something to keep in mind. Make sure you are always ready with that barrel roll to get out of tricky situations. Here we go. And Diablos' main vulnerable point is his head. Definitely focus on it as much as possible. Awesome, my paralysis hammer is doing its job. We got a nice stunned dragon right here. Didn't get quite as many hits as I would like there. Oh boy. That attack, I call it double horn sweep. I don't know if there's any other kind of official name, but that's what I call it. The hitbox on that is massive. If you are pretty much anywhere in front of him, he's probably going to hit you. If you see him prepping that attack, either run away or try to get behind him. Do not try to like dodge around it. It is really, really hard to do so. Alright, going for a charge. You can always tell he'll spread his wings and he does the roar right before he does the charge. Going for the tail swipe now, gonna try to get a good hit. There we go, on your ass! Boom! Alright, cool, and now he's a little stunned. Diablos has a little exhausted stun. His is unfortunately a lot shorter than most other monsters. Oh, ouch. That hurt a little bit. I want to get out of there. Oh, God. But yeah, like Anjanath, he'll spend a few seconds just taking deep breaths if you've really tuckered him out. Diablos really never does that. He'll only take about 2 or 3 seconds to do some light scratches on the ground, and then he'll be right back after you. So you really got to make... Oh, boy. Diablos is doing his trademark stuff of digging. He will go underground and explode out. There are a couple different tactics you can use against that. When he digs, my personal recommendation is to just run in the opposite direction, because he can only stay underground for about 3 to 4 seconds. After that, he has to come back up, and you can dodge it easiest by just running away. Other tactics you have, if you happen to have screamer pods on you, if you fire them on the ground between you and him when he's digging, it will pop him out of the ground and he will be temporarily stunned. But the stun time is short, and it can be hard just to get back up to him to give him a couple of hits before he'll pull himself out. You can also only carry 3 screamer pods on you, so it can be a real trick to get just right. So my personal recommendation is to just run and try to take advantage of him when... damn you, Diablos. You're gonna run out? Bastard. But yeah, my personal recommendation is to just take advantage of hitting him when he goes to do his tail swipes after his charge. Oh boy. Okay, now we're going into Diablos' nest area. This is definitely where his actual home is. If you've injured Diablos to the point where he's like limping, this is where he's going to retreat to. Special thing to keep in mind, both the sandveil walls on each side allow Diablos to trigger a unique attack. If he digs or charges into them, he will explode out of them a few seconds later in a huge attack animation, and he will pretty much fly out of those things and come about to this point, flailing around. And if you are anywhere in between that, you're going to get hit, and it hurts. So just keep that in mind. Alright. Here, you pissed off dragon. Oh, shit. Oh, boy. Over there. Oh boy. Okay. for another charge, okay? What do you do? Paralysis! Diablos' chest is also another weak point. You can try to focus on it if you just can't get to his head. But those are his two most vulnerable spots, so definitely keep them in mind when you're taking your swings. Oh boy. Oh boy. Ah, you bastard. Oh boy. Stay away from me, you dragon. Oh shit. Shit. See, he went in the veil wall. He's coming out. See, that's what I mean. It's a bad scene. What the heck? Okay. I'm pretty sure I was gonna get hit there. Oh, damn it. Run. Woo! Oh boy. No, don't want none of that. Oh, God, I didn't feel great. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright, just put this out. Alright, the thing I just threw on, it was a specialized tool. You'll get those throughout the game. This one is the Vitality Mantle. This thing's pretty useful because it'll take damage instead of your health for a short amount of time, up to a certain amount of damage. So basically, it makes you temporarily immortal. This is good if you want to be a little bit more reckless, or if you're fighting monsters that do a assload of damage, like Diablos. Damn it. Oh boy. Give me the flash pod. Wait, now we have an opportunity. Sweet. Okay. Holy crap. Right. Yes. Oh boy. Fuck at you. Diablos is pretty vulnerable to getting flashbanged. Not so much so as other monsters, because he will occasionally still just flail around, and since his attacks are pretty wide, it doesn't always give you a great opening, but it can. So it is something to consider. And his main cave does have 2 natural flash fly in the area, so just keep it in mind if he's being completely unreasonable. Where are you going? Alright, got a minute, so I'm gonna go here, drink this up. As you can see, I'm making use of the radial menus. This is what I prefer to use. I would strongly recommend it just because it's super quick access to a lot of the stuff I use on a regular basis. You know, if you guys prefer using other menus or you have a different way of getting to it, that's fine. I've just found that this is a super reliable way to quickly get to stuff I need in the heat of battle. Let's just sharpen up the hammer. Yeah, because that makes sense. And then we'll go in and we'll take another whack at Diablos. Let's see, we got him up here right now. Oh, cool. We got kitty trappers right here. We're gonna pull a what is that? Gulliver's Island, something like that. Got him. That's terrible. We should know that. Gulliver's Travels. That's it. Go on. Okay, that did great. Oh boy. Okay, huge Diablos. Hopefully we can get this to work. I'm not sure if it'll work, but okay. Don't want none of that. Come on. There we go! Come on. Trap him, guys. Do it. Do it. Do it. Yes! So see, some of the wild kitty cats, they're here helping me now, and I can get a whole bunch of 3 swings on this bastard. Oh, come on. Hit the damn dragon! See, even after they're done tangling him in the thing, he's gonna fall down, and I'll still get another 3 set of swings on him. So this is all good stuff. If you find those guys out there, let you know they'll help you with the monster. Definitely try to do it. Oh boy. Yeah, it can help you out a lot. Okay, I want to be anywhere near that. Okay, you just suck it there, Diablos. Potato. Oh boy. Oh, damn it! Do not come over here, Basil Geese, I swear to God. You son of a bitch. Oh, we're gonna have to deal with that. So, Basil Geese is a monster that only shows up in high rank, and put simply, he's a fucking dick. Get the fuck out of here. The one good thing about Basil Geese is he's generally just as aggressive towards other monsters as he is towards you, so half the time when he shows up, he'll just try to kill the monster you're fighting. The bad thing is, he drops explosive shells everywhere, and his attack radius is so massive, he's probably going to hit you too. And he does outrageous amounts of damage. So, the whole reason Basil Geese flew off is because I loaded a dung pod, which you can craft by, surprise, picking up poop and turning it into little poop bombs. You hit a monster with that, and it causes them to run away. Sometimes it takes 1 or 2 shells. It just depends. I don't know if it's necessarily like a monster just refusing to leave, or if it's because they're in an attack animation. But you're allowed to carry up to 10 of these things, and normally anywhere between 1 to 3 hits will get rid of the monster you're trying to get rid of. So Basil Geese has now just fled to some other part of the map. It doesn't mean he won't necessarily come back, so it is something to keep in mind. But he's gone for the moment, which is all that matters. Could have been a lot worse. We'll drink. Oh shit! No! Oh god! Nice try, you bastard. Oh, that's bad. Ah, jerk. You not cooperating at all today, Diablos. Bet you're gonna swing up. Okay, cool. Come on. Give me an opening. Ah, no! Not your fucking turn around and slash. Ah. Dick. There we go. not cooperating at all. Of course. Bastard. Sick of you running around, Diablos. You're gonna hold still and you're gonna take a hammer to the damn face. Damn it. Oh well, that's a couple of free hits on this. Oh well. Where are you going now, dummy? Oh, you went back to your cave. What the? Oh, that was close. That could have been bad. Oh, we got a limping Diablos. Okay. So yeah, anytime you got your monster limping, that is your cue to try to go for the capture. There are different benefits between killing and capturing. Personally, I almost always go for the capture because you'll get an increased number of item drops in the reward section, and there are certain items that only drop in the reward section, so getting more there can be useful. I don't know why I put that down there, that was dumb. I've just been hunting too many other monsters where they've been laying in areas where you can't put the trap. But this area, I can totally put it right on top of him, which is what I recommend you do. If they're asleep and you can set it right on top of them, just do it. Because the instant it triggers, they'll be like that, auto-trapped. Then you just start throwing tranq bombs as close to their face as you can, and bam, capture. Hooray! The one negative side effect to capturing is you are not allowed to carve materials from their body, but I consider the increased number of item drops from the reward screen to be a nice exchange. Also, it makes it so you don't have to try to, like, fight the monster anymore. If you're running low on items or health, and, you know, or it's a monster you fought 5 or 6 times and he's whooped your ass all these other times, and you finally get into this part, trapping him and ending the fight early can be a nice benefit. Oh, cool! I got a decoration. What we get? Oh, okay. All right. So yep, that's the basics. Took down a relatively tough monster, one that, if you don't know what you're doing, he will train wreck you and an entire team with you. But if you know his pattern and you follow it, and you know where to make sure you're keeping yourself during the fight, then he's no big deal. Alright, thanks everybody. That'll be it.